Today we're going to talk about why diets fail and why, even though this video is titled Carnivore Diet, the carnivore diet isn't actually a diet. We'll get into all that here in just a moment. Hello everyone, semi-retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. As I said, today we're going to talk about why some diets fail, why most diets fail, and why I don't think the carnivore diet is actually a diet. First, let me say, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Thanks for stopping by. Very quickly, what you're watching here is me walk. That doesn't seem super exciting, except 15 months ago I couldn't do this. I could barely stand for 2 to 2.5 minutes without severe pain. And now I'm out here walking every day. I'm out here to show you that it's never too late to change your life. And when I say that, I mean it's never too late. Holy crap, is it hot out here today. It's only 93 degrees according to the thermometer, but it feels like it's 113, which means we've got a full 20 degrees of humidity. Which means, of course, my skin is starting to get wet and sticky already. And I've only been out of the house for just a few moments. I could have sat down in front of the computer to record this video. I actually thought about it for a minute and thought, I'm always telling people that we can do whatever we set our minds to do. So I decided to come out here. It's not going to be a long walk. I'm just going down to the corner and back. And it's more to prove to myself that even on the most brutally hot days, I can get out here and do some stuff. If you're returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here as well. It means a lot to me that you spend just a few moments a day with me. But let's get on into this thing. Why diets fail. I've talked about this before, but diets fail because 95% of the diets out there are basically just calorie restrictions. The whole eat less, move more, and if you stop losing weight, eat a little bit less. Well, eventually your body gets hungry, and I don't care how strong your will is, most people are eventually going to give up or give in to those hormones plastering your brain with, my goodness, we're hungry. Because if eating less, calorie restricting, all that stuff actually works, then those big weight loss programs that you see advertised on TV all the time, they would have worked by now. And yes, you see some success stories, but how many hundreds of thousands of people have to try those programs just so they can have a handful of success stories to show you? Now, the carnivore diet is different because it fuels your body with what it wants. It's anti-inflammatory, and the main thing is that it is really hard to overeat protein and fat, because eventually you're going to get to the point where you're just like, ugh, I just don't want any more. So the carnivore diet isn't actually a diet. It's more of a way of eating, a way of life. You've just decided that you're not going to stuff your face with carbohydrates, which leaves you with animal products. Yeah, it's really warm out here today, folks. But yeah, so you just have to remember that it's a lot more mindset than anything else. Just remind yourself that you don't have to calorie restrict. You don't have to limit yourself. Now, of course, on this channel and lots of carnivore channels, they talk about intermittent fasting and all of those things. And while they are helpful tools, they're not necessarily required. And I do want to remind you that most of everything I talk about outside of eat the meat and the fat, add the salt, drink the water, is a 5 to 10% problem. Because eating the meat and fat, adding the salt, drinking the water, will get most people 90 to 95% of where they want to be. It's that final 5 to 10% that sometimes requires a lot of playing around with. I was going back over some of my older videos and bumped into a study that I talked about once back in September of last year. And it wasn't even really a study, it was just a little personal experiment that Dr. Sivas did with some friends of his. Basically, they got a hold of first-year Harvard medical students and gave them all a continuous glucose monitor to wear for a while so that they could see what different foods did to their blood sugars. And the interesting thing about all of this is that most of the medical students came back for the post wearing the CGM interview, and they were commenting on the fact that it doesn't seem like the things they're learning in medical school about nutrition really line up with what they're seeing on the continuous glucose monitor. I found that very interesting, and it does give me hope for the future. I went by the house there. We're going down to the other corner real quick. The fact that some first-year medical students, and now that we're coming up on a year since I talked about this, I'm sure they're second-year medical students by now. Hopefully they retain that knowledge and continue to look at things like that throughout their journey into the medical profession. Because it's really going to take some actual doctors out there realizing what's going on before mainstream medicine will start to change. And speaking of changing mainstream medicine, I want to know what your thoughts are down in the comments about this. As of right now, 87% of the country here in the United States has at least one marker of metabolic dysfunction. And the last stat I saw, 42% of Americans are listed as obese. 42% obese. Wow. So how long do you think it's going to take under our current climate of pushing more highly processed foods? How much longer is it going to take before that number gets to 50%? I have in mind what I think of the number when I think it's going to happen. But I want your input on it. How much longer do you think it's going to take before more than half of this country, the United States, qualifies as obese? It's a sad state of affairs out there, folks. So help me get the word out. Hit the like, hit the subscribe. Share this out with someone you think might need to hear it. Drop down in the comments and leave me a comment. All that stuff helps get the word out. Because we need to get the word out. Because 50% of the country being obese, that's a scary thought, folks. That's what I've got for you today. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better. Today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, folks. I will see you in the next one.